How's it going? I'm Nick. I'm in Snowbarrow, and we're going to show off my gear. This is my guitar. This is a Fender American Jazz Bass. This is the Highway 1 series. Came out in like the mid-2000s. What makes it significant is the addition of this what's called an S1 switch. This allows the ability to switch the pickups from series to parallel, or parallel to series. One of the things. One makes them sound more like a P bass. One makes it sound more like a jazz bass. That's how I understand it when you push it down. It is an Adler body. It is a maple neck. I particularly am fond. That was like one of the big things that I looked for when I was getting my bass. Was I wanted a maple neck because I feel like the action on it is much better than any of the other wood types. It has the string-through design. It's a bolt-on neck, but it's American made, and it's been a real champ for me for the times I've had it. It's going on about 12 years or so. It is, I play in drop C, so this is the lowest this poor guy's ever had to go. So the strings are, I play Diodario strings. They are a medium gauge, so I think they go up to like 105, probably, somewhere in that neighborhood. But they are great. I really rely on them for like a really bright sound. I hate when they get dull and flat sounding, so I change my strings every other show or something like that, which is, I think, a little uncommon for bass players, because I really like that top end that I feel like disappears after you pour sweat over it and then your saliva and salt eats it away. What else is there with this guy? It's got the standard tuners. It's great. It's never had a problem with it. It's never broken up. It's never had any issues. It's my baby. I've only ever played jazz basses. I've gone through the entire family. I had a Squire when I was like 12. I had a Mexican when I was like 17, and this was something I bought when I was like in my early 20s, and I haven't moved on since. Everybody else in the band has acrylic instruments, and they're shaming me into trying to get an acrylic instrument. We'll see. That might be coming soon. So I mostly, we dime everything, tone dimed, and both pickups dimed. I've noticed that when you roll one off, it sort of comes out of phase slightly. You can hear like a tiny bit of like phase shift when you do that. So I just roll them all at max, and mostly though I prefer the neck pickup. I like the little more highs. I mean, I think it gets a lot of boom, but I like some mids and highs in my bass tone. Oh yeah, I feel pretty strongly about using a pick, as I am a guitar player by trade. I play Dunlop Nylons, the 1mm, the blacks. I like those a ton. I particularly like them because they've got a little bit of grip to them. I feel like a lot of times, like I've used the pink snow burials and they fly out of my fingers, so I like having a little bit of grip on my fingertips so they stay put a little more. I've moved up for this band because it's got a lot of really tight gallops and things like that. I used to use the .78s, which were a little more like what you would use for a guitar, but they just aren't as tight for like keeping really precise gallops and rhythms and stuff like that. I only run both my speaker cables, my instrument cables are all Monster cables. I've had excellent luck with them. They have a lifetime warranty on them. I've trashed dozens on tour and walked into a Guitar Center and threw them on a counter, and they will give you brand new ones. So these are probably the 4th or 5th generation of Monster cables that I've actually owned. I have a broken one in my bag right now waiting to come back to the shop. So I think that like they've been super great about both reducing noise and interference. They're really well shielded. I prefer them for everything that I touch. The only thing I wish they made was like small between pedals, like the little shorties, the 3-inch cables, but so such is life. So I play through an Ampeg Svt Classic head. One of the things I really like about this one is one of the last SVTs to be made in America. This was made in St. Louis in probably between 2005 and 2007. I'm the only owner of it. All damage is my fault. It has been a tank. I know some people complained about the SVTs having some reliability issues, especially past 2007, but these it was like the last generation of American-made SVTs, and they're just the toughest The only thing I don't like about it is that I throw my back out lifting this thing. This thing is like 80 plus. It is just ridiculous. I used to try and play through only 1 410, but it's a mismatched ohm load that way because this thing only handles 2 and 4 ohms. So I had to bring in its brother. I play for the cabs. These are 2 Sun 410s. They are ported cabs, and they also have a horn, right, meow. And one of the things that I love about the horn is that it allows for a lot greater articulation than you get on either a sealed cabinet or something otherwise. It's, again, I'm chasing a lot of that, like, we play a lot of chords, a lot of, like, really crisp guitar tones and things like that that aren't really available if you just go all boom. So I really love having horns on both my cabs. Right now, as Ben mentioned, I run them. They're essentially being run at the same time. You can daisy chain them if you want, but right now they're both running off the SVT, and we run them in. It's essentially split mono. For me, I don't actually have a stereo spread, but in terms of a uniformity of sound for live shows and things like that, it kills because it's equal guitar and bass on both sides, no matter where you're standing in the room. It is the same sound. It's just like it gives you total uniformity when live situations don't really afford you anything else. It is a 300 watt all tube head. I have never turned it past 2, and often I'm always asking if I should just turn it down. I basically nearly dime the pre-gain. It's at like 9 now, and then I feel like generally my feeling on all musical sound is like to get out of the way, and my whole feeling is like I hate EQs, I hate changing it. It should be like what is in. I want as few things in the way of my sound as possible. That's why I run a pretty minimalist setup. I feel like I want to get a good sound in the least adulterated way possible. I don't get too complicated when I run like anything. It's usually just clean, distorted, and then hella distorted. That's really the only levels that I'm interested in. The guitar's got, you've seen the command center. It does everything else. Mostly my job is just to like sit in the pocket and have a good consistent bass tone. I love this amp. I know it's not particularly like fancy or boutique, but it has been just a total horse for me, and I've been able to play in bands like a rock and roll band with it, and it seems to handle like what we do in Snow Burial perfectly, so I love it. Cool, so I hope you have some time. This is my pedal board here. It is the generation 3 of my pedal board. For the first, 10, 15 years that I played in a band, I did not have a pedal tuner. This is a mistake. I don't know why I didn't, because I used to only play through one distortion pedal only, and I was like, I don't need a pedal tuner. You can just like plug in or do something like that. It's a mistake. You should have one. I know that's not useful information. Everyone has a pedal tuner, but I love it. It's amazing. It's a boss. You step on it, it works. This is the heart of my gain stage. This is going to be the full tone bass drive. This is the MOSFET edition. There are versions of this that aren't MOSFET. I particularly really like this one. It has 2 sections. It has basically the gain on-off, like for the overdrive, and then it has a boost switch. The boost switch really doesn't get a ton of use for me because I essentially just dime the overdrive, dime the tone, and it's just fierce, and it growls, and it's like grindy. But what I love about it and what I've sought out in bass pedals is that so often you'll get the grind, but they just compress the hell out of your sound, and so you get no low end, so it just feels like guitar distortion. And so what I like about this one is that it maintains a good deal of that, and when I don't have enough from this, when it really requires something where it's like I need to shake the ground, we recently have, when we were recording our record, we got to play around with all of Electrical Audio's like myriad of rare and fancy pedals, and there I tried out, I can't remember if it was the Sovtech Big Muff Pi or if it was the Electro Harmonics. I think it was Electro Harmonics that we actually ran through, but it was one of the 70s vintage ones.
Civil War.
The Civil War, yeah. This was made, this is made to model that sound, and so this is what we use for like big ugly dive bombs where it needs to just like sit above everything and then just shake the world. So I actually stack these two. It's first the overdrive pedal and then the big muff on top of that, and that's done it for me. I have experimented. Our record was recorded with a Klon KTR clone in this signal chain, and I recently just bought one. I played with it for a while, and I just couldn't get it to earn its way onto my economy of pedal boards, so I actually returned it, and I've gone back to just using this setup here. I want so desperately to have more pedals, but I can't seem to find ones that make me really happy, so we're here until the pedals make me. Our new record's going to come out September 20th on Prosthetic Records. It's called Ostrava. You can get it on LP, on CD. You can get it on Spotify and any other digital download places. And we'll be touring through the beginning of October. I think it's like the 4th through the 20th. And we'll be going up through Canada, all the way down the East Coast and the Midwest. So we hope to see you out there, and we're going to play with some cool bands.